Hello, listeners. Welcome to another great podcast session. I'm Shivani Muthyala. The most common technological trends in the market, that are booming like never before are artificial intelligence and big data analytics, definitely. They have been taking over most of the industries, irrespective of the sectors, right? While coming to AI, it is adding great value from automating the process on one side and also improving better customer experiences on the other side. Let's see how it is transforming the enterprise sector too, in the words of Lakshmana, who is the Senior Vice President of Strategy Consulting and Analytics at Epsilon. So, why late? Let's welcome our speaker for the day. Hi, Lakshmana. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well, Shivani. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well too. Thank you so much. Pleasure to have you here on Analytics Insight platform today.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Looking forward to this chat.
Absolutely. So, before we dive deep into the topic, could you tell our listeners like what Epsilon is all about?
Sure, I would love to do that. So, Epsilon is an outcome based marketing and loyalty solutions provider, and we provide loyalty and marketing platforms and solutions to clients, some of the leading brands in the world. And we've been doing this for over 50 years. Most people in the consumer space would not have come across Epsilon as a brand because we are not a consumer facing brand. We are a brand behind some of the biggest consumer brands in the world. Um, how do we do that? I think we do this sort of work like loyalty and marketing solutions through a set of our own proprietary data and a set of marketing technology and ad tech platforms. Just to give you the size of the scale that we have got, we have over 8,000 associates across about 80 plus offices around the world. We have the number one ranked loyalty messaging and CRM platforms as accredited by Forrester and Gartner's of the world. To give you the scale that we operate, our loyalty platforms manage over 600 million members across 100 plus brands. And our CDP, which is our customer data platform, manages over a billion customer records for hundreds of brands globally. Through our digital media solutions, we have this thing called Core ID, where we have mapped over 200 million people in the US across 7,000 attributes. So that's Epsilon for you.
Amazing. And what are the specializations and services that the company is offering to its clients? So, could you tell us about that?
Sure. We are, I think, the best way to describe Epsilon, other than the outcome-based loyalty and loyalty and marketing solutions provider. We are a SaaS company. We are a software as a services organization. We also take pride in saying that we are software and a service company, and I would explain what I mean by that in the next minute or so. In terms of the services and platforms that we offer to our clients, on the platform side, we offer loyalty, customer data platform, and messaging platforms to our clients. Some people call them first-party data platforms because you typically take customer consent before you enroll them into these programs and platforms. On the platform side, we usually work with head of loyalty, chief marketing officers, chief digital officers. Those are the sort of client stakeholders that we usually interact with on the platform side. On the ad tech and media side, we offer programmatic digital media solutions to brands to drive traffic and conversions to their online and offline stores. These media solutions are typically offered to chief marketing officers and somebody who manages a media budget, somebody who's like a head of media in a big brand or an enterprise. We also have a set of unique and proprietary data assets where we have got information on consumers around demographics, their household information, their life stage, their lifestyle, their buying behavior, media consumption behavior, and so on and so forth. So that's our unique proprietary data asset. And we bring the data asset to the table when we solve complex marketing problems for our clients. These platforms and services that we have talked about are tightly wrapped around a set of high quality services around strategy consulting, analytics, digital experience, and campaign management. So those are the sort of things that Epsilon delivers to its clients through its platforms and services.
Wonderful. And we now, wanted to know why Epsilon is unique for, data analyst and especially why not for others? What does the company hold with regard to this?
Yeah, excellent question. I think if you're a data analyst, whether you're somebody who is graduating out of an engineering or a business school, or you're a tenured person, I think if you're interested in building your career in data analysis or data science, I think you should be looking for an organization that is already rich with data. So Epsilon, as I said, and as I said as part of the Epsilon introduction, couple of questions before, Epsilon manages rich first-party data on behalf of our clients. We are sort of like a custodian of this data on behalf of our clients. So we already have the kind of scale that we have got is just completely phenomenal. And then through our media platforms that I mentioned, where we offer programmatic media solutions, we have the ability to capture and earn rich um, online behavior and digital behavior data of our brands, consumers. So it goes without saying that I think when a data analyst joins Epsilon, you have an opportunity to work on this data. These are all highly rich demographics, transactions, behavior, media consumption data that you wouldn't typically have everything available in one place. So we provide a couple of career paths. For example, we have analytics consulting teams. They typically start with a client business problem and convert that into an analytics problem, and then you go ahead and develop a set of machine learning and deep learning models to solve that client problem. So that gives people the opportunity to understand the domain that the clients operate, whether it is banking or retail, CPG, healthcare, so on and so forth. Those are some of the top industries that we work with. On the analytics product side, we also our teams also work on a set of curated, standard, automated machine learning models that are sold as features on top of our platform. So we do have opportunities for data analysts both on the analytics consulting side and also the analytics productization side, which attracts a set of data engineers and data scientists. So I do believe that I think it really helps us to attract the right talent, the sort of rich data and the diversity and the richness of this work really helps us to attract the top talent into the organization.
Absolutely. And that's really interesting to know about. And, as technology these days have been prominent, for most of the operations, like, how the company is leveraging tech trends, and, most of the companies today are leveraging tech trends such as AI, big data, and analytics, right? So, how was Epsilon leveraging these particular tech trends,
Good, good. Our platforms, all the first-party data platforms that I talked about earlier, Shivani, are all they are all available as software as a service, and they are cloud first. To some extent, cloud-only platforms that we offer to our clients across industries. These platforms, loyalty, CDP, messaging, they are all available in AWS. So we also deliver a set of curated and standard machine learning models leveraging AWS SageMaker and Databricks environments. We also deploy self-service analytics environments on top of these data platforms in order to enable the data scientists from the client organization and also Epsilon data scientists to get access to this data in one place so that they can continue to build the models they would like to build to solve marketing problems. Um, that's on the platform side. I mentioned we are AWS at this point of time with plans to include other cloud platforms over a period of time. On the services side, we are fairly ahead. We deliver our analytics models across top three cloud environments: AWS, of course, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. And in the last 3+ years, we have made tremendous progress in leveraging some of the advanced deep learning frameworks such as TensorFlow and Keras. And we deploy algorithms using algorithms such as like neural networks, LSDM models, natural language processing, and reinforcement learning. And due to the scale that I talked about 600 million members, thousands of records in our CDP. Due to the scale that we operate, um, the kind of models that we are talking about couldn't really work in a standard database. So we continue to leverage distributed computing and distributed storage solutions using technologies such as Spark, PySpark, Delta Lake storage architecture, Scala, and MapReduce. And one thing that I wanted to say very clearly is that we don't use these technologies, because they are cool thing to do. We use these technologies because they are absolutely required. To give you a good example, when a retailer came to us a couple of years back and said that I would like you guys to build a product recommendation algorithm, that retailer had about 50 million consumers. They literally had thousands of products, they had hundreds of offers, and then you've got seasonality and everything. Now you could actually build a best neural network that helps you predict the right set of products the consumer would be interested in buying next week. That is not a problem, but we actually hit a technological limit when we deployed this algorithm in the environment. It took us like 10 hours to run the model to get the predictions. That is not really acceptable in a production environment. So that's a problem that is more conducive to be done in this distributed environment that I talked about. Especially some of the cloud environments are well suitable to run an algorithm like this, and that's why we use them. So I just wanted to say that we don't do that. We don't use these algorithms because it's cool. We use them because they're absolutely required to deliver the sort of use cases the clients want us to solve for.
Perfect. Happy to know how the company is actually enhancing these new tech trends, for delivering great products. And what is the most difficult data science problem that you have worked in your past years? And, how did you manage to solve them?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a difficult, but I'll briefly talk about one of the most interesting data science and machine learning problem that we have solved in the past year. We've been working with this insurance company, which is just which is a couple of years back has set up this business unit that's called Direct to Consumer Business Unit, where, as you know, insurance companies are good in selling policies through intermediaries, agents, and brokers. But when you're trying to sell insurance directly to the consumers, it brings up a host of problems. So there are three stages that we have actually helped this insurance company in building in helping them build a robust direct to consumer business. The first area is marketing, the second area is sales, and third area is collections. Marketing is all about, okay, you do have a certain budget on a weekly or a monthly basis, and you need to really figure out what are the right channels and media that you need to invest this budget in order to generate a certain minimum volume of leads at a certain cost per lead. Okay, so that's a marketing problem. The sales problem is as soon as the leads are generated at a certain cost per lead, you need to really figure out, you need to quickly qualify the lead, whether it is a prospect that's worth having a conversation or not. You need to quickly qualify the lead and then pick the relevant product to do the product presentation, come up with a quote like an insurance quote which would have a premium amount, sum assured, and so on and so forth. And then finally sell the policy, which is a sales problem. And then the third stage of the problem is collection. Once the policy is sold, that's not the end of the story. You need to continue to collect the premiums on a, let's say, a monthly, quarterly, or semi-annual or annual frequencies, right? So there are three stages of the problem. So we have worked with the client. We have split this problem into these three stages, and then our data science team had looked at the data, both internal data and external data, to develop a set of machine learning algorithms that help them to optimize the marketing spend across media, that help them to qualify the leads very quickly based on few parameters. It helped them to come up with the most relevant product, insurance product, based on the demographics and needs of that particular lead or the prospect. And it also helped them to identify policies that are at a high risk of lapsing or churning, so that you can work on your collections priority ahead of time, call script and things like that. So I think, as I said, I think we have designed a set of machine learning algorithms and created and converted them to decision engines, and then embedded them across this leads life cycle from marketing to sales to conversion, and we have started to see that it is beginning to bear dividends, in terms of helping us achieve a better set of KPIs and metrics. So I would say that's one of the most interesting problems that we worked on during this pandemic year.
Great. I think it would be of, great help to our emerging leaders, in dealing things much better. Thanks for elaborating on that front, Lakshmana. And, privacy these days is the major concern, right, across industries and companies. So, how is Epsilon dealing with this particular issue?
No, excellent question. I think every time I talk about data and the set of the population and attributes that we have got, obviously, the our radar goes up. I think people start to think about privacy, which is a very very important question. I think if I talk about data, if nobody has actually picked on privacy, I think they've missed the elephant in the room. So Epsilon, we are at the forefront of engaging, dealing with privacy. Our platforms are privacy by design. What do I mean by that? We when we work with clients, on the loyalty platform and customer data platform and messaging platform, we are not really working with data brokers, etc. We are working with clients and enterprises who have a consented first party data. So if you actually go to an online retailer or a brick and mortar offline retailer, you give consent to enroll in a loyalty or a CRM program. Okay, so that is step number one, right? So you offer your name and phone number, email ID, and maybe your address, and then you consent. And then the expectation of the consumer is that the retailer would handle the data privately and then would offer something in exchange for that data, right? Every time you go there, from that point onwards, every time you go into the retailer, you continue to buy, it is all the transactions are attached to that particular member ID, so that we know more and more about this particular consumer and their household, so that we can go back to them with the most relevant products and offers and everything. And then in loyalty cases, we also give them points and other experiential benefits. So there is a clear value exchange. So the consumers are aware of this. What are they giving, and what are they getting in terms of their, getting in terms of returns from the retailer, or a travel or hospitality player. So I think all of that use case that I talked about, those are the sort of clients that Epsilon typically works with, and they are the biggest clients of our first party data platform. On the media side that I talked about, we stay within the privacy regime. On the online data that I talked about, where we have the consumer behavior information, online behavior, media consumption, their transactions, we don't hold any PII information in that data. We call it pseudonymous data. So we really don't know who this individual is, but everybody would have an ID through which we uniquely identify that individual and personalize the programmatic media for them. So we call them, as I said, we call them pseudonymous ID solutions. And then, by the way, I would say we also work with some of the leading banks and financial services institutions in the US and elsewhere in the world. And banks are pretty tight about data privacy and everything, and we check all the boxes in terms of what they expect to see from a solution provider like Epsilon. And finally, I would say, when Europe launched GDPR regulations, and then California had come up with CCPA, we were the first few company. We were one of the first few companies that was compliant to GDPR and CCPA regulations.
Amazing. Truly, the company is doing a great job, in this particular front. And coming to enterprise, Epsilon has been solving enterprise issues, right? So tell us about that, along with interesting use cases that you feel.
Yeah, some of the use cases, I would say Epsilon, the way that Epsilon differs from a lot of other companies is that we are in this marketing and loyalty space, and that's the only thing that we do, marketing, loyalty, and media. I would say we don't do supply chain, inventory optimization, and HR management. I think we don't do that sort of a thing. We are very good in marketing and loyalty. we solve marketing. We do marketing and media optimization. I talked about that insurance example, which is a media and channel optimization problem. We work on areas around customer lifecycle management. So let's say you're a retailer or a bank. I think, what do you need to do to acquire the high quality and high value consumers to your brand? How do you onboard them? How do you have a certain level of engagement with them, retaining them, and then consumers, or lapsed or churned consumers? How do you win them back? Okay, so we call them customer life cycle, from acquisition to onboarding to engagement to retention to win back. So we work across the entire life cycle management with the biggest brands and enterprises. Retail is one of the biggest industries that we operate. So for retailers, some of the use cases would be around helping a retailer to improve average order value, frequency of visits, share of wallet. I must tell you about some of the work that we do using our own proprietary data. We do have a data asset called TXpend, where we do have information around, at an individual and household level, the kind of spend that individual and the household make on hundreds of brands across many categories and subcategories. Um, so when we go to a retailer, we can actually take their data and match it with our TXpand, and then tell them that as a retailer, they see like $1,000 spend from this particular consumer, but then through our data, we see a $8,000 spend elsewhere. So that's really, I mean, every time you do an analysis like that, it really opens up their eyes and say, okay, I thought this customer was high value for me, but there is more value to be captured. We call them headroom, we call them share of wallet. So those are some interesting use cases that we do, and we are only able to do these use cases because we have actually put some effort into building the proprietary data asset that we talked about. On the personalization side, we solve a number of personalization use case for our clients around the right product and right SKU to recommend to that particular customer, like the right offer, what level of depth that we need to go to the offer in order to incentivize the customer to make the transaction, but at the same time have a certain margin through the sale. We optimize, we do channel optimization. Some people are good in email, some people respond to SMS. Some people need to be targeted using paid media like display advertisements. So you really need to, it's very important for you to figure out what is the right channel and also the right time to reach out to the consumers in order to incent them to continue to transact with you than going elsewhere. On the paid media side, we do optimization around the display media, video advertisements, social and connected TV, and so on and so forth. So those are some of the use cases, and as you would imagine, they are all primarily around marketing and loyalty and media areas.
Wonderful. And going back to data analytics, is there a need for companies, to develop a robust data analytics system? So, what do you think? If yes, then what are your reasons, to validate it?
Sure. I mean, I think anybody who's listening to this podcast, I think, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here. As I mean, I came across this interesting quote from the ex Google chairman Eric Schmidt that if you're a leader in the enterprise, you have to run towards AI. I think although there are some issues around privacy, ethics, and safety of AI, all those things are talked about. If you purely look at it from how you could use AI to improve your business outcomes, I think there is tremendous untapped potential over there. So we at Epsilon, since we are a data and technology and media company, as I said, in the space of marketing and loyalty, we encourage our clients to be AI first. We encourage our clients to, take advantage and sweat their internal data. We encourage their clients to look at second-party data relationships and third-party relationships. So we thrive in this particular area. Digital transformation, like is such a massive thing. It is even more so in 2020 when the pandemic hit. We have literally seen some of the retailers who said that, oh, digital transformation is important, but it is few years down the road. Literally, they have to really close their shops. When the pandemic hit, like back in March, April 2020, we can almost see their sales go from wherever they are, like millions of dollars to almost close to zero because no stores are open. Now they are waking up and then asking themselves, okay, what is my digital transformation? Within the digital business transformation, Epsilon operates in digital marketing transformation with those use cases that I talked about. Um, so it's absolutely critical being AI first, looking at your company, transforming your company through digital technologies and data is absolutely critical. Uh, so I think most companies are now have realized that some of the companies who are left behind have also realized this, and they are making big investments in this area going forward. And Epsilon is absolutely thriving and succeeding in this environment.
Great. All this is just possible through upskilling, right? So, how is the company investing on upskilling employees within the organization to meet the demands at present and also of the future?
Yeah, I can speak about. I mean, Epsilon globally has got 8,000 associates. We have got hundreds of data scientists in the US and India. In India, at the last count, we have over 200 plus data scientists in India across many business units. Epsilon is organized by different business units. So each of these business units has a small to big size data science teams to deliver advanced analytics solutions to clients for that particular business unit. Um, I think our approach to upskilling employees, the associates, is that I think first and foremost the focus is on giving them really interesting and intellectually stimulating business problems to work on. I think it is critical. I think we shouldn't really think of this upskilling as something that you necessarily need to go and take a course on. I think I'll come to that. I think there are a lot of things that we do to encourage associates to pick up, to improve on their learning and development activities. But first and foremost, 70% of your learning happens on the job. So it is about ensuring that we onboard the associate appropriately and then, train them up appropriately and then deploy them in a certain account where they can add value. So I think that's where in my view, like most of the learning happens. Keep them challenged and stimulated, and solving that problem is absolutely critical. Other than that, other than their day job of solving critical client problems, we have invested heavily in L&D, and we have done more so in the last couple of years when we were all locked up in within our houses. We have done a series of in classroom, although virtual, like training sessions. There are work assignments that we give to to our associates after they complete the training to earn their course credit. We have sponsored, we have spent money in and encourage them to take these MOOC courses, the online courses across Plural, Site, and Udemy, Coursera environments. And we are also in the last year or so, we are also beginning to partner with campuses in India, IIT Madras and some of the NITs. We are collaborating with our product engineering team and data science team. We are working with some of the top professors in these institutions, and then we have created this core team of professors and the students in that institute plus Epsilon associates, and then they take on a certain problem and then they go to the side and then work on it. So this is beyond your day-to-day work. Like, you take some of the most out there problems and then work on it. And if we can solve for it, then if we can create a solution out of this to our clients, that's even better. But learning is the primary objective of running programs like that through some of the institutes that I talked about. And we have also done our first analytics summit last year, where we have got hundreds of people within Epsilon India attend that analytics summit earlier this year. So we had leadership talks, we had paper presentations, we had panel conversations, and so on and so forth. So learning and development is an absolute priority, more so when we are working remotely. And I've seen that it has helped us to keep the associates motivated and engaged.
Very interesting. These things really matter a lot for great evolution in the future. So, lastly, what are the career paths for data scientists within the organization? So, could you tell us about that?
Absolutely. I think there are two career paths. I must have alluded to that in my earlier answers. The first career path is the analytics consulting. So the individuals typically out of campuses they start as a graduate analyst, data analyst, and then they can become a senior data analyst and a lead, a manager, senior manager, and director. I think that's a career path. That's a career path some people are on. So that's analytics consulting is like, these are all big enterprises in US and elsewhere in the world. They have bought Epsilon's platforms that I talked about. There is an analytics consulting services that they additionally pay for, and these teams are available, and they work very closely with the clients' business stakeholders to ensure that they get the value out of the data and the platform that they made investments in. So this path is very interesting because you're really at the cutting edge. You're working directly with the clients. You're listening to their business problems. You're coming up with a solution. The solution can be a simple data analysis, or it could be an advanced deep learning model. It doesn't matter. Anything that you do that would help us solve that business problem is what we need, and that's what clients care for. And we also demonstrate the return on analytics investment, return on platform investments, and things like that. So that's absolutely critical. And one other thing that this analytics consulting team does very well is they also over time begin to build industry depth. I think if you're really talking to healthcare clients or banking clients, you really need to speak their language, to earn the credibility. So as you grow within this career path, once you get to a lead or a manager level, you got to really pick up the domain and the language that the client use. That becomes a currency. So that's an analytics consulting track. And then the second path that we have got is analytics product. But analytics product is like your stakeholders are all internal stakeholders. You don't necessarily work directly with the clients. That's done by our analytics consulting team. But analytics product team is all like more inward focused. You have a product roadmap, and here are the set of features or the models or the data pipelines that need to be delivered as part of that, let's say a quarterly or monthly roadmap. And that's what you work on. You deliver on that. For that, I think we hire a set of like data engineers and data scientists, people who have got a little bit of a programming mind. People who also understand the algorithm very well. I think those are the sort of individuals that thrive in this environment. And as I said, you don't work directly with the clients, but then you work with the internal product team and deliver on that roadmap. And the beauty of this work is once you do a certain set of features and models, it works not for one client, it works for like 15 clients. You can get feedback from how it is working for 15 clients and then take that into your revision or your next stages of the roadmap. So those are the two paths: analytics consulting and analytics product career paths. Those paths exist within Epsilon, and I've seen that the people usually move. I've seen some people transition from our analytics consulting to analytic product over a period of time if they feel like that's the right path for them when it comes to their career. We do have a very successful internal job program where literally last year hundreds of people applied, and 20% of them are successful in moving from their current business unit to a new business unit. And by the way, Epsilon is majorly North America focused. Over 90-95% of our clients are in the US, but we are also beginning to have. We are also successful in Europe now. We have also launched in APAC a couple of years back. We are beginning to get clients in APAC, India, Australia, and Middle East. So there are opportunities for people to move to this new location and work directly with our sales and client services and client teams. So there is a regional, if you wanted to go work for a new location over time, those opportunities are available within Epsilon.
Absolutely. And I'm sure this is definitely going to help all our data scientists and data analysts who are actually listening to our podcast. Thank you so much, Lakshmana, for joining us today. It was really pleasure talking to you, and optimistically looking forward to see even more innovative solutions coming up from Epsilon's end.